Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
In late 2019, Australia was suffering from a major drought. The spring season was the driest since record-keeping began 120 years ago. In addition, a massive heat wave with record-high temperatures hit the nation. Forests and grasslands were tinder dry, and then the fires began. Supreme Master Ching Hai tearfully present both Dr. Elaine Ong and Dr. Chris Barton the Shining World Compassion Award, plus a loving token of $15,000 toward continuing this caring work. May God forever love you and bless Australia. Fires around the world and the key to their prevention, Part 1 of 3. Continue watching to find out more.
Assalamualaikum, halo kihine, means hello, how are you? In Deviahi, the official language of Maldives, I am Aminat. The considerate people of Maldives wish that all beings are protected in God's grace. Welcome to part 1 of our 3-part series, Fires Around the World and the Key to Their Prevention. On today's program, we'll travel down under to Australia.
If we don't change our disaster-breeding provoking way, then disaster will never end. I'm also in tears whenever there is a natural disaster anywhere in the world. My heart aches for the suffering of the people. I feel what they feel, and I'm very, very much saddened. But we can only stop the disaster once and for all by tackling the root problem, that is, by stopping the killing of human and mass murdering of innocent animal lives. Only when we walk in peace and love on this earth will the earth and nature respond peacefully to us. If we protect others, we will be protected. And as more of us become vegan, the spiritual consciousness of humankind can be elevated higher. Let's continue striving to touch people's hearts and minds to change to a vegan lifestyle and to love the precious animals and our respected planet. Then the changes in our world could happen in more surprising speed than you think.
In January 2020, hundreds of deadly wildfires raged throughout Australia. Clearly visible from space, the disaster was viewed with dismay by the astronauts in the International Space Station. The commander, Italian astronaut Colonel Luca Parmitano, sent the world a series of photographs showing a massive cloud of smoke that covered the entire Australian desert. Smoke wrapped itself around several major cities, while ash, smoke, and dust streamed out across the Pacific Ocean. In his January 12, 2020 tweet, the astronaut wrote, "Australia fires, lives, hopes, dreams in ashes." On New Year's Eve 2020, while many people around the world were celebrating, the residents of New South Wales, Australia, were spending a night of terror. 112 fires were burning across the state, and 2,500 firefighters were working around the clock to control them. In Hutan, New South Wales, people watched as towering columns of smoke turned the sky pitch black, and waves of flames engulfed the countryside. The flames swept through the town, destroying houses and businesses. More than 4,000 people fled to the beach to escape. They watched in horror as the flames burned all the way to the sand, trapping them on the seashore. The Australian military evacuated them from the inferno using naval ships. For several months, hundreds of wildfires ravaged the nation. Every state and territory in Australia experienced them. The most dangerous blazes occurred along the eastern and southeastern coast, with New South Wales being the hardest hit. As of January 21, 2020, 30 people had been killed by the blazes, including 4 firefighters, and the physical damage has been massive. More than 10 million hectares of parks, forests, and bush have been burned. To put this into perspective, 1 hectare is about the size of a US football field. 10 million hectares is equivalent to the size of England. In some parts of the country, as much as 80% of the forests have burned. In New South Wales, more than 2,000 houses were destroyed by fire, with thousands of citizens forced to seek refuge elsewhere. During the fires, much of the nation was in chaos. In November 2019, Queensland declared a state of emergency, and in January 2020, Victoria declared a state of disaster. In January, New South Wales also declared a state of emergency. Thousands of firefighters fought the blazes. While some were professionals, most were volunteers, frequently working 12-hour shifts, getting time off from their regular jobs by drawing on their vacation leave. Hoping to save their country, they worked tirelessly throughout the Christmas holiday season. To help with the immense effort, additional firefighters arrived from Canada, New Zealand, and the USA. The Australian government also deployed its military personnel, vehicles, ships, and planes. Police forces were similarly deployed. Many attribute the disaster in Australia to climate change, which has resulted in 2 major alterations in the nation's weather patterns. First, Australia has suffered a widespread drought for several years. The spring of 2019 was the driest since record-keeping began 120 years ago. Australia's Bureau of Meteorology (BOM) reported that the nation's 2019 rainfall total was 40% lower than average. Second, from October to December 2019, the nation suffered a massive heat wave with record-breaking temperatures. On December 17, Australia experienced its hottest day on record as the average maximum temperature soared to 40.9 degrees Celsius. However, this record was broken the very next day, when the temperature rose to 41.9 degrees Celsius. According to BOM, the temperatures in Australia have been continually rising. 2019 was Australia's hottest year on record, with average temperatures 1.5 degrees higher than the 1961 to 1990 average. Of the 10 hottest years on record in Australia, 9 have occurred since 2005. In each December 2019 report, the BOM stated, Australia's climate is increasingly influenced by global warming. With the extreme drought and record-high temperatures, forests became tinder dry. Trees, shrubs, and grasslands across the nation were dangerously vulnerable to fire. It is not known how the fires actually started, but once they did, burning was so intense, it was almost impossible to contain them. We'll take a moment now to listen to this important message. We'll be back shortly. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our program Part 1 of Fires Around the World and the Key to their Prevention. The most heartbreaking tragedy resulting from the fires in Australia was the loss of wildlife. According to ecologists from the University of Sydney, at least 500 million animals were affected in New South Wales alone, and an estimated 1 billion animals were affected nationwide. Millions of animals were killed and countless more suffer from excruciating burn wounds. Even those who survive face a heart-wrenching future with loss of habitat, lack of food, and possible starvation. Dr. Eileen Ong, founder of the charitable organization Vets for Compassion, and her husband Dr. Chris Barton, hurried to provide veterinary care for animals in need in the hardest hit areas of Australia. Although experienced, they were unprepared for the traumatic scenes that met them. In one area, dozens of kangaroos had fled to a golf course to take refuge from the flames. However, the animals were so severely burned that Dr. Barton had to euthanize the entire herd. Although he has been a vet for 40 years, he said the scene still brings tears to my eyes. He still has nightmares. One of the most heartbreaking cases of devastation occurred on Kangaroo Island. The island was renowned for its unique ecology and was one of Australia's most prized wildlife sanctuaries. It was home to thousands of koalas, kangaroos, wallabies, as well as many precious species of birds. However, bushfires ravaged this paradise, burning 50% of the island's forests in its wake. It is estimated that half of the 50,000 koalas perished in the inferno, and it is feared that the Kangaroo Island gannet, an endangered mouse-like marsupial endemic to the island, may have become extinct. After the fire, Australian and New Zealand soldiers arrived at Kangaroo Island to help clean up. Wearing masks to protect themselves from the stench, they collected the charred remains of the dead animals and heaped them into a deep trench for a massive burial. In addition to wildlife, livestock animals were also affected. Agriculture Minister Bridget McKenzie estimated that 100,000 cattle and sheep will be lost in the fires this season. Even when they survive, many have had to endure excruciating pain from their burns. One farmer reported that the udders of his cows were so badly burned that they could no longer suckle their baby calves, and remaining livestock animals could face a grim future as rising feed prices make it no longer economically viable to keep them. Another result of the fires was air pollution. Sydney, Australia's largest city, endured dense smoke for weeks, with air quality frequently exceeding hazardous levels. At times, smoke pollution was so bad that the damage to the lungs was estimated to be equivalent to smoking 37 cigarettes a day. In Adelaide, citizens were advised to stay indoors. And in Melbourne, Slovenia's Dalila Jakupovic collapsed from smoke inhalation during the 2020 Australian Open tennis competition. The damage in Australia affected the entire world. In early January 2020, the U.S. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA, observed a cloud of smoke the size of the continental United States over Australia. Within days, the smoke spread across the Pacific Ocean. Within 2 weeks, the cloud had circumvented the entire globe. Thousands of kilometers away, Australia's smoke turned skies in Auckland, New Zealand bright orange and caused extensive pollution. It also discolored skies in South America. In addition to the smoke, the fires produced massive amounts of carbon emissions, which in turn accelerate climate change. As Dr. Rebecca Buckles, a scientist at the National Center for Atmospheric Research says, climate impacts the fires, and the fires can potentially impact climate. How can we prevent such disasters from occurring in the future? Research shows that the primary cause of climate change is the raising of livestock animals, which contributes more to global warming than all forms of transportation combined. Scientists report that the livestock animals raising industry causes as much as 51% of all global greenhouse gas emissions. Thus, many recommend that the most effective way to stop global warming is through widespread adoption of the vegan lifestyle. Supreme Master Ching Hai has frequently spoken about this as the quickest way to stop future climate-related disasters.
If we don't change our disaster-breeding provoking way, then disaster will never end. I'm also in tears whenever there is a natural disaster anywhere in the world. My heart aches for the suffering of the people. I feel what they feel, and I'm very, very much saddened. But we can only stop the disaster once and for all by tackling the root problem, that is, by stopping the killing of human and mass murdering of innocent animal lives. Only when we walk in peace and love on this earth will the earth and nature respond peacefully to us. If we protect others, we will be protected. And as more of us become vegan, the spiritual consciousness of humankind can be elevated higher. Let's continue striving to touch people's hearts and minds to change to a vegan lifestyle and to love the precious animals and our respected planet. Then the changes in our world could happen in more surprising speed than you think.
Supreme Master Ching Hai has been deeply concerned about the fires and the immense suffering in Australia. On Master's behalf, our association members sent a relief team to the areas most affected, providing vegan meals where needed, as well as contributing medical supplies and funds to numerous charitable organizations and animal shelters. The association members also distributed information on the root cause of climate change, raising livestock animals. Many thanks to the individuals who helped those in need in the affected areas, and God for sending the loving showers of rain in time to stop the fires. We pray that all humans and animal friends will always be safe and happy.
Supreme Master Ching Hai tearfully present both Dr. Elaine Ong and Dr. Chris Barton the Shining World Compassion Award, plus a loving token of $15,000 toward continuing this caring work. May God forever love you and bless Australia.
Supreme Master Ching Hai is deeply grateful to the beloved God for all the financial help, comfort, and support to the afflicted and needy, and or any good cause over the years, as a humble vessel for His compassion and love toward His precious children.
Concerned viewers, thank you for your company today on Part 1 of Fires Around the World and the Key to their Prevention. Please join us again next Monday for Part 2 of this series. Coming up next is Theoklitos Prostakis, Savior of Crete's homeless dogs and cats, right after noteworthy news. Through the grace of the Divine, may we soon live in a peaceful vegan world, and may all such disasters soon be a thing of the past.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/PE.